let's switch up. You take the next one.
All right, sounds good.
Jehovah's Witnesses are fundamentalists who have an uncompromising faith. The largest question in our world today is whether people of uncompromising faith are going to destroy the other or embrace the other. Whether people of uncompromising faith are going to see it is imperative to act out with violence toward the other or to act out with decency and dignity toward the other. So the question of our world may not be whether we're going to have fundamentalism or whether fundamentalism is bad, but what type of fundamentalism we're going to have.
America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
The media has always liked to focus on fundamentalists who are either ridiculous
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
or dangerous.
For the children's sake, you might have to bear a gun.
The Bible says that there is a way which seems right, but the end thereof are the ways of death.
I'm certainly afraid of extremists who want to take away my rights or threaten our democracy.
But the Bible's very clear how God loves people and how he feels.
Yet Jehovah's Witnesses practice a different kind of fundamentalism. Their door-to-door message may be annoying, but their uncompromising faith hasn't hurt our freedom. In some surprising ways, it's actually helped define it.
The importance of the Bible and how it can help us with our daily life.
Between 1935 and 1958, the Jehovah's Witnesses were in the Supreme Court a remarkable 45 times. And there are periods during First Amendment history when you see a particular group really carrying the banner of free expression. You could say that they don't fight, you could say that they don't vote, but what they have done is litigate. And in a way, they've contributed more to American democracy and the protection of American ideals than a lot of people have with their votes.
Jehovah's Witnesses stood up for their own religious freedom. Even if their intention was not to help other groups, the impact shifted the court's focus to protecting the unpopular and expanding rights for everyone. The right to speak freely on street corners and door to door. To publish an unconventional message without getting arrested. The right to be a conscientious objector of war. And the right of all patients seeking medical treatment to control what's done to their bodies.
Definitely went from something I thought was minor to now something very serious.
Do you have any more Prograf, Mom?
A rare genetic disease has been attacking Seth's liver since he was a teenager. Jehovah's Witnesses accept most medical treatment. Seth takes 30 pills a day and gets nightly injections to keep his liver functioning. However, he'll need a liver transplant, and this is a problem. Seth wants the transplant, but as a Jehovah's Witness, he won't take a blood transfusion, even his own stored in advance.
He could compromise and say, I need a liver and I'm going to take blood. This would be his choice. I mean, he's still our son. We'd still love him. You don't ever quit loving your children. You know, and he has taken a stand and he's not going to. And that's pretty commendable because that's scary.
USC will perform Seth's surgery to meet the religious needs of Jehovah's Witnesses. In turn, the hospital gets to test out new technology on them. The aim is to limit blood loss to the point where most transfusions are unnecessary. USC thinks bloodless surgery should be the new standard for everyone. The threat of HIV and other viruses in the blood supply has given doctors an incentive to work with witness patients.
That led to this weird alliance between very strange bedfellows. Jehovah's Witnesses, who never liked blood, didn't want to use blood, and a scientific community trying to figure out how are we going to do surgery if we can't use the blood supply because it might be infected. So they came together in this bizarre confluence and said, let's try and use less blood or no blood.
This is a scary time, but hopefully, more than likely, it's all going to turn out okay. And even if we do lose one of them or both of them, you remember that there is a hope for the resurrection. If he does not wake up, we'll still be able to see him in paradise, the way we were meant to live.
The blood does not leave the body because stay in continuity, and that's acceptable to Jehovah's Witness patients.
This is good research.
Of course, ultimately, we're not talking about cells in a petri dish or a lab rat. We're talking about a young man with a family with potentially a long future ahead of him. Maybe not.
By the 1930s, Jehovah's Witnesses had 25,000 members in Germany. Like their American counterparts, the German witnesses were nonviolent and apolitical. They refused to say Heil Hitler or serve in the army. Instead, they stood on street corners, proclaiming their allegiance only to God.
In the eyes of the Nazis, the Jehovah's Witnesses were Germans, Aryans, just like themselves. They were incensed when Jehovah's Witnesses refused to accept the authority of the state.
Get them away, the Nazis felt, from the rest of society before they expose the Führer and the Nazi conformity.
10,000 witnesses were sent to prisons and concentration camps. The rest went underground. The prisoners smuggled detailed diagrams and first-hand reports of atrocities out of the camps. The witnesses tried to alert the world. They printed the accounts in Watchtower publications in many countries and broadcast them in America.
They spoke out against the persecution of Jews at a time when most people were quiet. The Nazi state considered them extremely dangerous.
As a young boy, Joseph Kempler was raised in a devout Jewish family in Krakow, Poland. As a teenager, he survived 6 concentration camps. It was in the camps he first saw Jehovah's Witnesses. After the war, he left Judaism and became a Jehovah's Witness himself.
It's difficult to speak to Jews. They say, I became a traitor. 6 million Jews died by being Jewish, and now I turn away from it and join the other side. I was among those survivors who felt that God was really responsible and guilty. He was the one that permitted the Holocaust. So we didn't fail him, we didn't do anything wrong, he failed us. And this is a very common belief. God is being maligned and misunderstood and in many different ways looked down upon as being uncaring or dead or whatever. And there are all kinds of distortions as to what God is and who he is. To be able to speak up in his defense is what a powerful turnaround from somebody who, where I was, to become a defender of God. What a wonderful privilege this is.